Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is dedicated for continued health of Chana Bat Sima Fega, and as well for Refuah Shlema, for, I love you, for Rabbi Eli Bar Eliyahu Shimon ben Mazal Fortuné, the dedication as well as loving memory, Lunishmat Esther Bat Victoria, sponsored by the Shwai family, and finally, the week of cold brew, sponsored by David E. Ash in honor of you and your unwavering commitment to doing good for the state of Israel, for others around you during these challenging times, today and every day. So while we have the cold brew, we're also going to start a heater fund for the outside. Okay, let's go. My friends, I want to share with you a very interesting pasuk and a beautiful lesson. Vayomer Hashem el Avraham Lech Lecha. The pasuk says that God said to Avraham, go, travel, leave, depart. Au revoir. Go from wherever you're living. Lech lecha me'artzecha, u'mimoladetecha, u'beit avicha, from your land, right? From the place of your birth, from the house of your father. I want you to go, travel to the place that I'm going to show you. And what will happen in this new place that you go to? Ve'escha legoy gadol. I'm going to make you into a big nation. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make your name great. Everyone will know who you are. Ve'yeh beracha. And you will be as a blessing for all of the people. Now, I don't know about you, but usually to convince someone to move to Florida, what do you got to say? No taxes and less Democrats. Right? That's enough for our type of people to convince a guy to go to Florida. Right? You don't have to deal with the Democratic Socialists marching for everything but everything that you need or want or care about, or sanity, or living a lawful life. All of those things you have in Florida. That's enough, right? Do you need more? God says to Avram, listen, I'm suggesting a relocation. He's like, okay, what kind of apartment you going to get? Forget apartment. The whole land is going to be yours. He's going to expand in his real estate. He's going to have wealth and success and be beloved and everyone's going to know his name. Neon lights, right? It sounds like God is offering Avraham an amazing deal. He's going to make him an offer he can't refuse. And at that point, can Avram refuse the offer? He can't refuse the offer. That's Lech Lecha, right? That's what we think. Now, what's really interesting to me is that this mitzvah, this commandment from Hashem to Lech Lecha, to go, to move, is considered, if you learn Masechet Avot, you'll find Asara Nisyonot, 10 tests. Nitnasa Avraham Avinu, did Avraham Avinu receive as a test? Alav Shalom ve'amad bekulam. And in the list in Avot Rabbi Natan, Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, in the lists of these sources, what the tests were, one of the tests that's listed as a test for Avraham Avinu is Lech lecha me'artzecha. Travel from your land. Now I want to ask you, I know that people love to the place that they come from. If you're a Brooklyn guy, you love Brooklyn. If you're a Deal guy, you hate Brooklyn. You love Deal. You're a Brooklyn guy, you hate Deal. Right? The guys in Brooklyn, the guys in Deal are telling you that they moved to New York, they can't sleep. So much noise, people honking, no parking. Take a guy from Brooklyn, the guy's like, I can't sleep. It's so quiet here. Right? Everybody loves, like the Gemara says, Chen makom al yoshvea. The Manhattan people can't handle the Brooklyn and the Deal people complaining, so they live here. You understand? Everybody loves the place they live in. I have a problem though. Avraham Avinu, the place he lived in, his father's town, Artzecha, Muladecha, Bet Avicha. How was that place to him? They literally threw him into a furnace of fire. The whole people. And when he reached out to his councilman, to the senator, whatever, they were watching, they were in the crowd eating popcorn, watching him get burned. Right? Thrown in the... So Avram is losing nothing by leaving a terrible town that wants to kill him. And what's the option on the other side? He's not moving from there to a terrible town. He's moving from there to a place of blessing and everything. Why is this a test? What kind of test is this? that everyone is considering Lech Lecha to be one of the tests of Avraham Avinu. The words of the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, they illustrate something very interesting. They say that why is this a test? Hatiltul kashe le'adam yoter mikol. That moving, being taken from place to place, is more difficult than anything else. The fact that you're on the move, the fact that you're going here, you're going there, you're not settled, you don't have a place to call home. And by the way, it's not only someone who's homeless that doesn't have a place to call home. If a person doesn't feel stable in the place that they live in, also they don't feel settled. Say you have a house, rent, in a certain place, and the guy tells you, listen, I'm about to sell the apartment, I'll let you stay here, but anytime I need the place, I'm going to sell it, you got to get out. I'll give you a week's notice. You can't sleep. You can't feel like, you need something fixed in the apartment, the shower's cracked, right? What do you tell yourself? I'm not going to fix it. I'm leaving any day. You feel unsettled because you don't know. So the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer says, what was the challenge of Lech Lecha? It wasn't that it wasn't a good deal. It was a good deal. But you know what? You can't feel minuchat nefesh, serenity, stability, if you don't have a settled mindset. And that's what Lech Lecha is. That's what he's explaining is the problem of Lech Lecha. But my friends, what I'm struggling to understand here is, how do you list that as one of the nisyonot? I get it. I get what you're saying. But imagine that one of the nisyonot is go and bring this Yitzchak and Akedah. One of the tests is that his wife gets kidnapped. And the other test is, I want you to move from a terrible town to an amazing situation. I get that it takes to move, and moving is hard. I get it. There's what's it called? There's a company people see all around the city with these pink trucks, moving truck. What's it called? Piece of cake moving. If you call it piece of cake moving, you know that no one thinks it's a piece of cake, right? Because that's why they're naming it that. I get it. It's not a piece of cake. But because it's not a piece of cake, it rates in the tests of Avraham Avinu. What's going on over here? So I want to share with you something unbelievable. Really unbelievable. The Ramban, in chapter 22, the Ramban writes something unbelievable. He says as follows. When we say the word nisayon, which means a test, a challenge in this life, what does it mean when we say that a person had a challenge, a difficulty, a nisayon, a test? What does it mean? And listen to his words. Inyana nisayonu lida'ati, Ramban says, I think that you know what a nisayon is? Ba'avur heyot ma'aseh ha'adam reshut muchletet biado. Every person has in this life the ability to choose to do whatever you want to do. You have free will to be able to choose to do what you want to do. You could decide, I'm getting up to pray, not getting up to pray. I'm going to give 10% to Maaser, I'm not going to give 10% to I'm going to keep Shabbat, I'm not going to keep Shabbat. I'm going to eat kosher, I'm not going to eat kosher. I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to tell the truth, I'm going to stab someone in the back, I'm going to, I'm going to be a loyal friend, I'm going to tell someone the secret, keep their secrets, I'm going to say Lashon Hara. 1,000,001 choices, everybody has, and you can choose to do whatever you want. Correct? A person has free will. Im yirtzeh ya'aseh, he wants to, he does it. Im lo yirtzeh lo ya'aseh. Yikareh nisayon mitzad al-menuseh. That's what it means when we say nisayon with regards to the person who's going through a challenge. Since you could choose to do whatever you want, so what's the challenge? Are you going to do the right thing? That's what a challenge is. Did you choose the correct thing? The Sifarim ask, based on Ramban's definition of what a nisayon is, there's so many of the nisyonot of Avraham Avinu that were not choices. When they took Sarah, his wife, did Avraham have a choice? No. When there was a famine in the land, did Avraham have a choice? No. So how are you counting any of those things as nisyonot? Lech Lecha, Abraham could have said to God, Chazak u'baruch, thank you very much, but no thanks, I'm fine right here. But thanks for stopping by. Abraham could have said that. He had a choice. Certain things, though, that were Abraham's tests, there was no choice. So why are they counted as the tests of Abraham? So I want to share with you something unbelievable from Otzrot HaTorah. He writes a magnificent piece. He says as follows. In Parashat Va'era, not Vayera, Va'era. It's later. In Shemot, second parasha in Sefer Shemot. Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hashem, you want me to go tell the Jewish people you're going to redeem them? Do me a favor. He says, what should I tell them your name is? Because I don't understand your ways. I don't understand why you're doing this. Why are you hurting these people? Why did you send me? Since I came to Paro to speak in your mouth, in your words, the nation has been harmed. It got worse. It didn't get better. Why are you sending me? HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds, Va'era el Abraham, when I appeared to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, it didn't go down like this. I'm going to read you the words of the Midrash. The Midrash says, Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God said to Moshe, Chaval al da'avdin v'lo mishtakchin. Shame on the ones that we lost, v'lo mishtakchin. Two different opinions how to translate that. Woe! Shame on the ones that we lost who are no longer here or who are not forgotten. Shame that we lost Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. You know why? Because Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, there was a lot of things that I said that they initially did not see me fulfill. I told Avraham Avinu, I'm going to give him the land. And when he comes to bury his wife, he can't even get a plot of land to bury his wife. A square 6 foot by 2 feet, he can't get without paying an exorbitant fee. What does Avraham say? Nothing. He doesn't ask me, you told me the land is going to be mine. Why am I paying grave fees? I promised Yitzchak the same thing. And what happened? Yitzchak can't find a well to drink water from. In the story with the Pilishtim. I promised Yaakov, he needs a place to stay, he has to pay for it. Me'ak sita, he needs to pay a large amount of money for a place to stay for him and his family. Never mind the whole Eretz Israel. He doesn't even have a homestead. And they did not ask me any questions. V'lo hirheru, lo hirher achar midotai. They did not have any questions. They did not doubt me. God said to Moshe, Moshe, I love you. But the Avot was special because when they had a question, they had faith. They didn't let the question derail them. My friends, based on this idea, we have a piercing insight to answer our question. What's the question? What's the nisayon? We asked, what's the big deal? Abraham, you're going to move from a bad place to a place with all sorts of berakah. What's the nisayon? Okay, you're moving. I get how hard moving is, not being settled. I understand. But you know what? Hashem's asking you to move to a better situation. Why is that a test? The answer is, my friends, sometimes the test is not if you go or if you don't go. Because there are times in this life where you have no choice but to go. There are times in this life when Sarah Imenu, she gets kidnapped. There are times in this life when Vayihi Ra'av Ba'aretz. The question is not, do I have a Ra'av? Do I not have a Ra'av? Where's my free will? The free will is not if you go. The free will is in how you go. Do you travel angry? Do you travel bitter? Do you travel with questions, with complaints? Thinking, where is God? What's going on? Didn't he promise? Or did you travel with faith? What a magnificent insight. So what Ramban is saying is, you didn't have the choice as to whether or not you would leave Israel from the famine. You didn't. There was a famine. You needed to go somewhere where you could get food. But how you traveled from in front of the famine was entirely a free will choice? My friends, that question, I think, is a question we deal with each and every day, where we don't have choices all the time as to what happens, but we have a choice as to how we deal and how we hold ourselves within what happens. Now, I know, my friends, that there's a very famous question that's asked. You know the song that goes, Mitzvah gedola liyot besimcha tamid. Famous song, right? The words of Rav Nachman of Breslov. And people used to ask the question all the time, where did the Ramban find that there's a mitzvah to be happy all the time? Who said? And some people said, actually, what he meant to say is, Simcha gedola liyot b'mitzvah tamid. It's a big joy to always be doing mitzvot. But that there's a mitzvah randomly to be happy. You woke up now. Nothing happened yet in the day. I have to be happy already? Nothing happened? Who said? Who said that there's a mitzvah to be happy? You hear that? Good question. You got an answer? The advertising industry, okay? Maybe a person's not supposed to be happy always. Maybe I don't have to. Maybe it's not a mitzvah. In fact, the Torah says, you know why we get punished? And we go, because tachat asher lo, since you did not serve Hashem with happiness. So in my service of Hashem, I have to be happy. Who said I just have to be happy on Tuesday morning? The answer, my friends, is very simple according to what we're saying. The mitzvah of being happy all the time is not a disconnected mitzvah of happiness. It's a result of another mitzvah. It's the result of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. If a person believes that God is managing his life, that everything that's happening to him is happening to him for a specific reason, that God is looking out for his best, even when it seems like it in the daytime, it's like the worst possible thing that could ever happen to him personally or nationally. And we look at it and we say, this is horrible. If you felt that everything, you're always coming up heads, you're always coming up winner, what happens? How do you feel? You feel b'simcha. Because there's never a moment which isn't a moment that is completely guided by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you know what the mitzvah is of being b'simcha always? It's the mitzvah of emunah. My friends, our emunah is being tested now. Our faith, with what's going on in Eretz Israel, with what's going on in the streets of this country, you can't choose to switch off anti-Semitism. That's not a free will choice that we get. But we can choose to decide how we will hold ourselves in a difficult and in a frightening time. Do we lean on our emunah? Mishe ma'amin lo mefached. Is that where we hold ourselves? If that's the case, then we occupy a very different space in our own heads. And if the nisayon of Avraham Avinu is Lech Lecha, go from here to a better place, I want you to understand that what God gave to Avraham was not a gift that he gave only to Avraham. Our rabbis teach us, Ma'aseh Avot, what happened to our forefathers, Siman Lebanim, is a sign of what would take place in the future for the children. God gave Am Yisrael a gift, and he communicated to Avraham Avinu, the first Jew, and the first thing that he said to the first Jew. What did he say? He said, I'm telling you from now, Lech Lecha me'artzecha. You will always be traveling. Me'artzecha, mimoladetecha, mibet avicha. You're going to go be chased around the globe. Exiles, difficult things. But I could promise you one thing. You won't know where you're going. El haaretz asher areka. But in the end, when you get there, you will see that it was ve'esecha legoy gadol. I will make you into a great nation. Some of what it takes to become a great nation is very painful. But when you get there, ve'escha legoy gadol, ve'avarechecha, ve'agadela shemecha, ve'yeh beracha. My friends, so what was the greatness of our avot? That they could go on their journey and experience a feeling of being settled, even though they were on the road. You know, I remember hearing a line, I'll end with this. You know, you think of a child, a baby in his mother's arms. Right? Baby in his mother's arms. Does it make a difference to the baby if he's in New York, in Los Angeles, Israel, Italy? Where's the baby? He's not in Italy, he's in his mother's arms. He's not in Israel, he's in his mother's arms. His place is in a place of nurturing, of love, of connection, of protection. The Chachamim tell us that when the Jewish people lived in Israel, and they traveled in Israel, in the desert, all the time that they were traveling, where were they traveling? They were going from place to place. But they were not moving. They were in the arms of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My friends, we are being torn apart, taken from place to place. But we're not really moving at all. And the challenge of Lech Lecha is not to move from a bad place to a good place, from a good place to a bad place, but to feel like we haven't really moved at all. Where was I? Where was I when my business was on fire? I was killing it. Everything was amazing. I was in the place I was supposed to be. I was in the best place for me. Where was I when my business failed? I couldn't rub two pennies together. Where was I? I was in the same place. I was in Hashem's arms, in the best place for me. If a person can feel that, that's the nisayon of Lech Lecha, of a nisayon where you don't have choice. Hashem should bless us when we don't have a choice on the journey that we go on, that we take the reins on the challenge that we're facing, which is not if we go, but how we go while we go. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashya Omer.